Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss some really cool news that is pertinent to me and the fandom. There is a really cool fan fiction project that was started, I think about a year ago, by one of the members of the fandom. This would be Ken Palpatine, who is also known as Nick. Well, Nick, I guess, who's also known as Ken Palpatine, would be a more accurate statement there. But Nick wanted to put together a fan fiction project that paid homage to the original. Now I can't find where they're at on my shelf. Well, here's a couple up here. I'll pick one up. To the original Tales from series of books. This, of course, included Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales from Jabba's Palace, and then later Tales from the New Republic and Tales from the Empire as well. The first three all adapted the one for each of the original trilogy. The Mos Eisley Cantina one was for A New Hope, the Bounty Hunters one was for Empire Strikes Back, and then the Jabba's Palace one was for Return of the Jedi. These are all super cool books, and they were really awesome because the stories would connect to each other, and there'd be continuity between all these little short stories that were together in these volumes that basically told the background on certain characters from the films. And Expanded Universe fans for a long time have said, man, wouldn't it have been cool if they did Tales from the Pod Racers or Tales from the Outlander Club? So Ken, or Nick, was like, yeah, that would have been cool. So he put together a team of fans and writers who have now put together a fan fiction project for Tales from the Boonta Eve classic. And so at the top here, we have the absolutely incredible art piece that he commissioned for this. It's beautiful, really. It depicts Quinlan dueling Aura Singh, which is super cool, and Sebulba, and Mahonic and Gasgano, which is absolutely awesome. The art piece is incredible. And so, and I believe will eventually be the cover used for files for Lulu in the future. So people can print this out and get this book up on their shelves with the rest of their collection if people wanted to, which I think is super cool, and I definitely plan on doing that. And then we have the recommended reading order, and we have the stories here, which includes Stardust, The Tale of Boles Roor by Brennan C. Rennick, who is me, Quinlan Voss on YouTube. And then we have The Once and Future Ben Quadaneros' Tale by Marcel Ryan. Then we have Loser Take All, Dud Bolt's Tale by Gregory O. Scott. And we have 30 more stories to come. So 27 more that have been unrevealed as of yet that will be part of this work. And as you scroll down, this is on Archive of Our Own, so you guys will be able to access that link in the description, which I'll post. So here's my story. And each story has an art piece for it, which is absolutely incredible. Nick got someone to, their name will be on the screen in a second. Nick got someone to do an art piece for each of the characters in the stories, because there was art pieces for the characters in the original Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina and Tales from Jabba's Palace and Tales of the Bounty Hunters. There was a character sketch before each story. Stardust, The Tale of Boles Roor. I put the summary. Nasty pod racer Boles Roor contemplates a career change after an unlikely set of circumstances occurs during the annual Boonta. And I think this art piece is just perfect. It's incredible. It looks great. Looks very much like the films, but I just love the style of it. It's super cool. It's by Star Wars Legends Illustrated. It's the artist. Very talented person. So here's my story. It's approximately 13 web pages from what I recall. There's various sections here. And yeah, it was just a fun little piece I wrote. So a little bit of the background that I'll give on the story, or my thinking on it. I personally don't think it's the best story I could have written, but it's just it's kind of the story I wanted to tell with this character. So as I was researching the character and reading some of the background material on him, the Expanded Universe established that in addition to pod racing, he is a very talented glimmick singer which is a musical instrument that he can perform, and he sings along with it. And he sold out stadiums on Coruscant. He's renowned in the entire galaxy. He's famous for this medium. So I was like, he is definitely an arrogant, insufferable, just nasty person. If he's famous in two fields, hugely famous in two competitive fields, then he must have an insane ego. So I just wanted to run with that idea. So I just wanted to make him detestable. He's a nasty little furball. He's a scoundrel who thinks himself self-important. He thinks everyone beneath him. So I played on that. He's a terrible, awful, racist kind of person who just looks down on all these other species as lesser than him, as not as good as him, not as talented as the great Boles Roor. So I just wanted to make him just a piece of work, just a detestable character that no one could really like, but would be entertaining to read in the sort of way as you can't take your eyes off of a train wreck, was kind of the idea. I wanted to have a bunch of references to the EU in there as well. So he meets up with an Ellispad named Ursic. Ursic's an original character, but this Ellispad he meets is an elephant-like species that was introduced in Namcot Star Wars, which is a game for the Famicom, which is the Japanese NES, that had original creatures and lore. So I wanted to include some deep-cut lore references, and Ellispads are on Tatooine in that game. There's some other EU references in here, like Giggle Dust, which I think comes from Galaxies, if I remember correctly. Then we've got his mechanic in here, who is a pre-established character. And in the EU, we know that he inherits his pod racer afterwards. So I was thinking, why would a prominent singer, pod racer who's on the top of his game, just give it all up and give his pod racer onto a mechanic? And I played with the idea that he was nasty, but that kind of his ego meant that he wouldn't be happy with lesser people winning. And as we know, Anakin Skywalker wins the Boonta, so this is a triggering event. He comes across a Kiffer here, who he, of course, looks down on. The Kiffer saves his life and seems to be purposeful and on a mission, and this Kiffer is Quinlan Voss. I always have to throw a Leppy into my stories. There's a Syrian Eric's bird, which is from it's the bird that Ki-Adi-Mundi rides on Syria in those comics. I think there's some other EU references elsewhere in here somewhere, but yeah. So he also talks funny. I noticed that he would say "ma" a lot and "me" a lot in the comic book that was called Tales of the Pod Racers. That was just this little web comic. It's in the Wild Space omnibuses if you want to get it in print. And so in that, he always was like "ma" and "me." So I played with that and made him just talk kind of wild, talk kind of weird. And he hates humans. Humans are maybe even the most detestable ones that he likes the least. Oh yeah, there's another guy he encounters who's a character from Galaxies who has a tattoo on his head. I needed a tattooed human who lived on Tatooine for this role because I wanted him to have another reason not to like humans. And so there is a character named Babu who comes from Galaxy who's got a big old tattoo on his forehead. So it's like, that's perfect. He can be very much disliked and detested by Boles Roor. I also played with naming conventions. So Roor is his first name, Boles is his family name. So they put it in a different order. So his name is Roor, but his last name is Boles. I just wanted to do that, just make him a little bit interesting. Then he encounters a character named Zelbreeze. I wonder if we'll find out a lot more about him in later stories. Who knows? He's a stinking human, according to Boles Roor. So keep an eye on that for further stories as you read through. This references the Hollow Show as well, right here, that is from the Tales of the Pod Racers with Thode and Bede, which is a live broadcast in which Sebulba insults him. Oh, I reference Coffragen monkeys, which are from some comics as well. I think, is it Dark Empire maybe? Could be wrong. It's an old Dark Horse comic that those come from. Yeah, so I included a reference to those as well. And as we scroll down along here, he encounters and has a confrontation with none other than Ben Quadinaros, which will be the next story. And we will see that conversation from the other point of view by one of my best friends, Marcel. Did a great job with his story, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's great. And so we both based the conversation on a conversation that our characters shared in the comic book itself, which is really super cool. And as we continue down, we get the aftermath of the pod race, and Boles Roor meets with his mechanic, and he's shocked to find that young Anakin Skywalker won. And so he is going to take an exit out of pod racing. He still has his singing after all. And so, yeah, that's the story, Stardust, the tale of Boles Roor. He's also a druggie, because I figured most celebrities, most singers, they are drug addicts. A lot of them are. So I figured I'd make Boles Roor one as well. So that's just the little story I wanted to tell with the character. I think he's a scoundrelous character, and the way I envisioned him is he's just awful, detestable little furball. Acts tough, acts better than everyone. And Ben Quadaneros' tale. I don't see that you can click on it yet. Editor's note, you can indeed click on the story. You have to click and expand the section to more stories, and there you can access the Tale of Dud Bolt and the wonderful Tale of Ben Quadaneros by Marcel as well. I didn't know that at the time of recording the video, but you can click on over there. All three stories will be linked in the description, though, so if you'd like to go and read them, please go read them, give them kudos. It's just a cool way of showing that you like the story, so if you feel like checking them out, please do. It would be an honor. Be on the lookout for that. It's called The Once and Future Ben Quadaneros' Tale, and it is a great read. There is a great conversation between Ben Quadaneros and another famous Ben in the Star Wars universe. And it's just incredibly well written. I really enjoy the prose in that story. I just think it's incredibly fun. I was just smiling the entire time I read it. He writes Ben really well. I really like the character of Ben. He was just as hapless, hopeless, innocent, and kind of sweet as I pictured what the character would be like. And I think Marcel captured it really well. So this project is super cool. The artwork is great. There are tons more great writers who are on this project who've written other great tales that will be coming out, tremendous stories that we'll be releasing on a weekly basis. So it's a really cool fan fiction project. I was incredibly honored to be a part of it, and it was just really fun to get to dust off the cobwebs of my writer's brain and try to put some words to page. It's always fun to do that. Really, really fun. So it was a really cool opportunity. Thanks to Nick for working hard on this and putting it together for all of us. I think it's something really cool that the fandom can enjoy. While we don't have any EU, we can entertain each other by, making EU works, I guess. They're, of course, not expanded universe stories, but it's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to write stuff in the EU. I imagine that the actual authors had this kind of fun in trying to be connective to all of this different stuff as they wrote in the lore. Certainly Abel G. Pena and all of the greats were very much of that mindset. So it's very fun to do. And I think this is a really cool, positive project that the fandom can really enjoy. So, yeah, I thought this was a really great project. It was an honor to be a part of it. You can go and read my story at the link in the description, and I'll link the overall folder as well with this beautiful art piece so that you guys can go and check out the Tales from the Boon to Eve Classic, Tales of the Pod Racers. It's a really cool project, so stay tuned for all of the other short stories that we'll be releasing. The Once and Future Ben is great, and I myself am looking forward to reading Loser Take All Dud Bolt's tale and more. There's a lot of great writers on here and a lot of great stories, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So it could be really fun for you guys to go and check this out on a week-to-week basis for the next story. They're all about the same length, not too long. Mine was over 3,000 words, so they shouldn't be that long to read either. So, it'll be fun. So, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this project idea. Do you think it's awesome? Do you think it's super cool? If you want to be involved in a project like this, make sure to go and shoot Nick a message because I'm sure he can use more writers in the future. So if a project idea like this makes you interested and makes you excited, shoot him a message. It's a really cool project idea. I'm really glad he's doing it. really cool to be a part of it too. I'll see you guys next time.